Hey, Life Pixers, hope you're having an awesome day. Are you ready to better understand yourself, your partner, and your marriage? I am super excited for today's guest. Before I introduce you to them, if you haven't taken the productivity mindset assessment, then you're going to want to go to lifepixuniversity.com/mindset to see if your mindset is getting in your way of you being productive. Yep, it just might be your mindset. There might be a lot of other things, but it starts there. So go to lifepixuniversity.com/mindset. Now, today's guests are an extremely interesting couple because they don't just care about health and they have a whole dance health business where they give Zumba classes and things of that sort, but they also care about your mental health together in a very, very different way of just like the mental health like going on around today and term thrown using that everybody uses. An extremely deep, passionate, exciting couple that you are going to love. So thank you so much, Lily and Viktor, for being here. I'm excited to be speaking with you. You want to start by telling us how you guys met?
Oh, that was a long time ago. We met at a Cuban salsa class. Viktor actually was introduced to the group. We were the intermediate group, and he came over from the beginners, and
graduated.
Graduated. And the instructor just came in and introduced Viktor to the whole group. And actually, the truth was that, that was 14 years ago.
Something like that.
14 years ago. And all the girls were like, wow, he's good looking. It's kind of obvious. And all the girls were like, everybody wanted to dance with him. And I remember that when the first time and the instructor said, okay, guys, now you go to the girls, ask someone to dance. Then I remember that he picked me as the first partner. And after that, things just kept rolling.
Yeah, the funny thing is, we are both from Budapest, Hungary, and we met in Dublin, and this was in Dublin, Ireland. And we've been dancing ever since.
Yeah, literally. At what point did you start your business?
Well, that was a few years later. When was that? 3 years later. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was 10 years ago. That's when we started the business. At the beginning, he also had another business. Now we are having this dance fitness business. At the beginning, he was kind of juggling in between the two businesses.
Yeah.
And he was running his own kind of printing business. And then, he was also helping with a lot of, marketing stuff in the dance fitness business. And later on, we just decided to kind of put everything, all the energies and all the focus just to put into one area or just pick one of the businesses. And then we wanted to keep going with the dance fitness because it was, it was more fun and, helping more people, meeting physical classes was meeting more people. And then, just it was amazing to hear always people, feeling better and getting fitter and happier. So,
yeah. So at the beginning, it was Lily who was teaching, and the start was very difficult. I remember because she was first class. What was it? How many people?
Well, first class, I had 5 of my friends, and it was only one person as a
paying customer.
As a customer, it was one person.
Yeah. So of course, years later, when people saw us and we were having 50, 60 people at the classes, we were talking about Zumba classes, right? So in sports halls and studios, they were like, "Oh, guys, you're doing so great." But of course, we always remembered, when the beginning, it was one person and then 2, 3, sometimes know people at all. And, you got to be really strong to keep going at that point and
not give up.
Kind of lose trust in yourself or doubt the activity that you're doing. So I definitely went through that. And it was more like Lily at the beginning,
But the thing is that I remember like Viktor was encouraging me a lot because, I've been talking about doing, something with dance fitness. Like, we were dancing salsa together, but that's different.
That's a social dance.
That's the social dance. And I was talking about, getting back to doing some dance fitness. And I remember I was just talking about it. And Viktor kept, encouraging me and pushing me to start.
Yeah.
And, when I started, then like it wasn't easy. And, many people, because I just quit my job. Like I had an office job and I just quit completely. And many people said, oh, at least you should have a part-time something because, at least, that gives you some security.
Security, yeah.
And no, I went
all in.
I went all in. But, I was also...
And there's no way, burn the bridges. You have to make this work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was the thing. I had to make it work. But I wasn't totally alone. Like I had a lot of encouragement and also a lot of help on the marketing side from Viktor. And later on, then we just joined everything.
And built it, obviously, to a much bigger business.
And at the beginning, we were still teaching salsa. Like after, attending the salsa classes, then we became instructors for a while. So we were teaching salsa together, which was amazing. But it wasn't something that we could really see bringing it to the next level.
Yeah, because we had more passion about fitness, because salsa is a social dance and it's absolutely brilliant, when you want to go out and dance, but it's not about fitness. And what we built was more about fitness.
To help people to get healthier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zumba's like one of the funnest way for just like fitness. You're not just like picking up weights, you're like actually having tons of fun while you're getting fit. So did you always know that you wanted to do this, or was like something that came up because people asked you? Like you were already, when you got taking those classes, you were doing just salsa, or you were doing got trained also in the Zumba part of it?
Right, the training
at the moment. You mean at the beginning? Like
in the beginning, right? You said like you were taking those classes and then you gave like salsa classes. But at that point, when you were just giving salsa classes, I don't know, did we one-on-one when you were giving the salsa classes, or you're giving them to groups of people?
It was groups
of people. So, but by then you were already also trained in Zumba, or it was something that only happened later on?
No, that happened. I mean, Lily was trained as an aerobic teacher.
Okay.
So it was very, very connected to that sort of niche, if you like. But I guess, it's more about it's kind of like the purpose along these activities are very similar, because like one of the things we really liked about salsa is that it brings a lot of joy to people. And when you go to a salsa party, for example, it's not the usual kind of nightclub scenario, because you don't really see drunk people. You see more like people who want to have fun without the alcohol. And actually, that's
real
why
fun.
it's real fun, and that's why bars don't really like salsa parties, because they just don't spend money on alcohol.
They're not gonna make good.
They're not gonna make money. They're just there dancing.
Salsa people drink water.
They drink a lot of water. But what I'm trying to say is, it's that it was the purpose about bringing that joy, that what you get through dancing. And that sort of line, we continued that line then with Zumba, that combining the dance with the fitness. And obviously health was a major part. We had a very strong interest in health. And as we were educating ourselves about how to be healthy, how to keep ourselves healthy, we wanted to kind of help people with that, and it was kind of obvious to combine these things.
That's how, I had the Zumba instructor training. I did that during we were doing the salsa classes. But as Viktor said previously, I used to teach dance aerobics and step aerobics. Those were like dance aerobics was very similar to Zumba, but it was the old times with the different music, music set up by DJs. It was very different, but at the same time, it was very similar. And then Zumba came along, and the brand. They are doing a great job, branding and making the brand well known. And because that's more like on the Latin side, which we love, but because people keep asking for the mainstream chart songs, and Zumba is a protected brand, so you need to kind of stick to those rules. So like lately we introduced a new type of dance fitness. It's very similar. We call it sizzle, and it's all about using more like mainstream songs, summer hits, because especially in English speaking countries, people love those songs where they can sing along to. And of course, then when you like the Spanish music that reminds you of holidays, maybe in some Spanish speaking countries. So it's like two different things, but at the same time, they have again the same purpose. So
yeah, it was kind of like an obvious choice, I guess.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow. It's so much fun. Oh, like the whole day. It's like, I love dance. So.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I do. Cool. I'm not like, I don't do it as much as I should. Let's put it like that. It's like, wish I took dance lessons as a kid, but like, if you bring me somewhere with the dance, like, I'm just going to go for it. But I'm curious, what happened to your relationship once you started working together?
I think it actually became better. I think. I mean, of course, it had the challenges, and I think the biggest challenge was to completely differentiate between. Okay, now we are having a meeting as business partners. Then let's not confuse that. Whatever maybe there are some not really arguments, but like where we don't agree on things in the business, then let's not mix it with husband and wife things or flaws or some flaws. Like what I mean here is like the husband and wife relationship is different than the business partner relationship. And I think the biggest challenge probably for everybody who does the same thing is not to mix the two. Because let's say if we have this kind of, we don't agree on something in the business, then if we bring it to our relationship, then it looks like a disagreement as in
husband
our husband and wife. And that was, I think, the biggest challenge to make it separate. And of course, it's not easy because like we are the same two people. So we are not like, okay, there's two people here and two people there. So I think that was the biggest challenge. And I think we are doing great in that.
Yeah, we put in sort of this rule, because what Lily was saying is that these activities that we have, these are separate hats. So it's kind of like in a business, someone has a hat of being a receptionist. That's a role she's doing. So I think it's a lot easier to understand life if you look at it that way, because we were mixing it at the beginning, that, okay, we are husband and wife or relationship, whatever, but then we're mixing it with business, and the two things should be separate, because if you mix it, it's kind of like the same thing as, let's say there is a store manager, right? And his job is to direct people at the workplace. And if he goes home and he doesn't drop that hat and doesn't put on the husband or father hat, then he's going to have trouble at home, So this is very important to understand. And sometimes it's not easy, to be honest. But a very good trick that we use is whenever we have an argument, like when you are inside an argument, it's very hard to differentiate these things. So we have to constantly remind ourselves that, okay, I have a problem, but I have a problem with you as a business partner. And once we state that, like it's a completely different conversation.
Yeah.
Because before that is like, it's all mixed, and then
you're bringing up things from the relationship and previous.
Yeah,
it's easy to take it personally. That's the tricky part. Not to take, like, let's say he or me, doesn't matter. He is, let's say, angry at me for something that I supposed to do and I didn't do. Let's say in the business. Now, he is right to be angry, like as a business partner, if I I promised to do something and I didn't. But if I take it as like he's angry at me as my husband, and I start to take it personally, now that's when things can get, like,
very messy
and very chaotic, and then nothing would work. So that's when we usually just sometimes we remind ourselves or remind each other, like, I'm saying this as a business partner now. And then we are like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's
but
like,
it works.
It works. It's kind of like magic. Many times I was like, I was going into the, the messed up mind. But once she said, okay, I'm talking to you as a business partner now, and I snap out of it. Yeah. Because I know, okay, that's different, So right. that really helped us. And I could only recommend to people to use that. And even if they don't do business together, being a husband is a different hat as being a father.
Yeah.
Completely different, And even if you mix those two, you can go down in a dwindling spiral, because then you start to think, okay, everything is bad. I have a problem with the marriage. And maybe you had a simple problem on being a father. And literally you can use this in any parts of life.
Yeah, because otherwise it's so easy to get upset on things when we don't, specify the real root of that specific problem, and just address that specific problem instead of becoming upset in general and take it on on a personal level. And what we really do is we have this rule to communicate any kind of upset, let it be in business or personal. Like, communication, I think, is really underrated. And in a relationship, that's it literally can solve any problem. But to be honest with you, when I remember, like, I grew up on a lot of romantic movies and everything. And, in all those movies, even though I had a lot of favorite movies, but it's all about that drama. And in a relationship, we have to strive to have a drama-free relationship, because that's when we really feel happy with each other. But, from those movies, what I learned, and then I brought that with myself, and I brought it into our relationship, is that, let's say I have a problem, then at the beginning, that was like 14 years ago, I also used to be this drama queen at the beginning. I had a problem, and then I was like, not telling him on purpose. I was waiting for him to come to me and to observe and to notice that I have a problem, and start asking why I have a what my problem was. And, at some point we realized that all this thing is just such a big...
It's a game.
It's a BS.
It's a BS game. Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like it's so time consuming and positive energy consuming. It's, and we also realize, and I think anybody who tries that would realize, we also realize that, oh my God, we just save so much time
and energy.
Time and energy, and then we have so much more time to be happy with each other. When, let's say, if he has a problem or if I have a problem, then what number one thing we do is we say that, okay, I want to tell you something and I need your attention, because it's also important. If I have a problem, I can just tell him while, let's say, he watches a video or while he is working or something. Like, I need to make sure that I have his attention, and then I tell him that I want to tell you an upset. And then he already knows, so he's not going to snap at me, because he already knows that I have an upset. So he listens with that viewpoint that, okay, he will hear he will hear an upset from me. And then the communication can just go so smoothly that, like, in a matter of minutes, sometimes if it's a bigger issue, then maybe more than a few minutes, but then we just come out of it calm and happy and loving each other instead of spending hours. I remember those evenings and nights when it was like going on and,
so much wasted time,
and
on this
love,
nonsense.
and wasted love, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So, are we speaking too much here?
No, you're doing great. There's like so much that you're to unpack, and I'm deciding like which one to pull out. I love it. You see your passion coming in. The first thing that I thought of was like when you're saying like a drama-free relationship. I'm sure there's people that are thinking like that's so boring, but you just look at you guys and how much fun and how much like not boring your relationship is, that you're like, it's coming from the right people.
Exactly. And that's a very good point, Esti, what you just said, that a drama-free relationship is like boring. And this is a very good point, because this comes back, and I wanted to say this, that when you get together with someone, or when two people get together, I think it's very important to define, okay, but why, Because if you think of relationship or a marriage, like it's not just because, if you watch the movies, it's because love. And nobody really defines, okay, but what is love? It's like something you feel. But then, okay, what do you do with that information? So, and I'm just bear with me. I'm going to get to, I'm going somewhere with this. The point I'm trying to make is, you need to define things of, okay, why are we together? And we believe that the purpose of a relationship is to have a common goal, something that we work towards too. And if you don't define that, then you're gonna spend an awful lot of time doing this drama. Because if there is no sort of a common goal that you're going towards, then your time is gonna be spent on fighting each other pointlessly,
Yeah, and
is that making sense?
I think so.
Yes, because like when Lily was talking earlier, she was saying how like how all about the negative energy, and I'm like, yeah, because sometimes when you're feeling sorry for yourself, right, you have this upset about something, and you're like, oh, I want the energy, I want that attention, not so consciously, but that's what your brain is thinking. So you go into this whole drama mode. So you're getting attention and the energy, but not the type that you want.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
I think, and I totally know what you mean, that people would say, oh my God, that's boring. But to be honest with you, once you start doing this, what we are doing, like, there's so much fun that we can put into imagine like all those times. I remember in those old times, we were planning to go hiking. And then we had this this drama hours. So instead of going hiking, we had this drama session when I had a problem and I was waiting for him, and then we didn't leave the house, and then we left later on, but actually we missed out on the fun because we were playing this other drama game. So later on we dropped it, and we dropped this. It's like, and even now it's not like at some point that becomes like a natural, like breathing air. It's not like that. Like even to this date, like I have to focus on not getting into that drama mindset, like even to this day, maybe I watched too many movies when I grew up, I don't know, or too many Sex and the City or something. But the thing is that even today, to this day, I have to focus on really telling him as early as possible that there is a problem or there is an upset that I want to tell him. And again, like once we do that, then there is actually a lot more fun in the relationship, because honestly, that drama is not really fun. But just because I keep bashing these movies, but some of them are really good. But just one thing I wanted to say about that, and Viktor also mentioned this, these romantic movies and love and everything. I think one of the biggest problem, and I honestly think that people, women, men, and I think especially women with all these movies, we literally don't know how and what a relationship was supposed to be, you know? And that's what I think, because I lived through all that drama and I brought all that drama in. And to be honest with you, when I started to look at that, the fact that, you know, in these movies, usually what they show is like, you know, two people, they meet, they have all this chemistry, which of course, like that's how the relationship starts, with all that chemistry and all everything and sexual attraction. Of course, that's how it starts. They show usually until a point when they are together or the guy proposes or they get married. And it looks like that's the end goal of a relationship. Yeah. Whereas in the reality, that's when the relationship starts. You know, that's when it starts. And then people think that, okay, we are in love, we get married, we're going to have kids, and it's done. But it's not done. Doesn't matter you have kids, you don't have kids, doesn't matter. But from a love perspective, it's not done. That's when it starts. And somebody said, I don't know who was that love is a verb. And that's what it comes back to, that, you know, you constantly have to create that relationship. You have to create. And this is what the movies usually don't show that. In very few movies, you would see, I've never seen a romantic movie about husband and wife. Have you? I don't think.
Yes, it's right. Unless there's like a problem in the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like they don't teach you at school. And actually, there are all these movies which actually I think they are harmful, even though, yeah, I love some of them. But now when I look at them from a different viewpoint, and then I already have all this knowledge that I built up during the years. But when I was a teenager and when I was in my 20s, I didn't know all these things. And I think, and maybe many women would agree that actually those movies, they ruined a lot of things about how we think about love and relationships.
They can shape our minds,
yeah.
You know, and that's the other thing that we are really conscious of, you know, and like the thing is, you know, whenever, like, yeah, we keep talking about these movies, but they can put, it's true, you know, and that's one thing that we actually realized, because we do a lot of self-improvement, you know, which I think is a major part, because you don't really improve your marriage. First, you improve yourself.
Exactly.
So your marriage improves.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things that we both realize, that the informations that we are getting, you know, if they are false, such as, you know, ideas about love and marriage, and if we accept them consciously or subconsciously, they can harm our marriage. So we have to be very, very conscious about that. And it's also a daily thing, you know, it's kind of like protecting your marriage by being conscious of, okay, what information we have and what we don't accept.
And because, you know, in a relationship, what they don't teach you, you know, when we met and when two people meet, of course, as I said, there is all that chemistry and everything is so exciting. But why? Because there is so many unknown pieces that you are finding out about the other person. You both are making up new plans, what to do together. So if we think about it, there is a constant, you know, creation and putting so much attention, giving so much attention to the other person, which is great. But then when two people get together or move together or get married or everything, somehow most people would just forget that, okay, we still need to put in maybe not the same things, because now maybe he knows everything about me and I know everything about him. And that's not the exciting part, to find out new things about the other person, maybe. But we need to come up and be creative and come up with ideas how to, you know, how to keep everything, how to create and how to
keep it exciting.
Yeah, keep it exciting. And, you know, like, that's what nobody teaches you. Nobody teaches us in movies or anywhere. Like, okay, what do you do? Okay, you get married and everything is, and love is there. But the love has to be kept there. And I think I always feel sorry for many, many marriages that, or relationships that break up, because I honestly think that many of them were not supposed to break up. They just end because those two people, they think that they need to look for that excitement in another person, whereas they could put that excitement back into their relationship if they wanted to, and if they knew that love is not just a static something there like a big rock and it will stand there forever. You put it in your living room and love is there because we got married, we bought a house, and here is love. So
we have a saying, that love does not happen to you, love happens because of you. And that's might sound like interesting thing, but it's actually true. And when you really think with that, is that it's not about, okay, you are in love and you sit back and hopefully you will be in love, or hopefully I'll be in love in all my life. It doesn't work that way.
And, just to give some maybe examples, it's some practical things like,
I was just going to ask you, it's like, you guys, you have like your whole dance. That's like just, I don't know, that just itself is exciting. Obviously, when you're doing it for so long, they're like, it's not as exciting as it was in the beginning. But from an outside perspective, it looks so exciting. So we need some like real practical things here.
Yeah, like when we in those old times, like even before we got married and those drama times, I remember when I said that, oh, you never buy me flowers, or, these kind of things. And it was like, this thing what Viktor said, that, there was those times when, because of the movies and because of everything, like I was expecting him to constantly do something to show how he loves me, right? And then when I had this, that I swapped and I said, okay, let's see what am I doing to, to keep the love, to maintain our relationship, to keep it exciting. Like, how am I showing my love to him? How am I being different than I was when we met? Like, am I the same? Like, do I do the same things? Do I pay so much attention on things? And anyway, like up to this day, for example, in the morning, I like to make him a coffee. And
I always get a little heart in it.
I put a little heart in the coffee, and then I tell him I love him.
Yeah, every morning we have a big hug.
Like he wakes up earlier than me. Then when I wake up, then we have like a big hug, but like such a big hug, and we tell each other we love each other. It's like, not just when in the movies, when I see that the people like, in the morning, like, hi, honey. And that's all. And it's like, how is that even possible? Like we have that big hug almost like we had 14 years ago, like the deep hug, like that loving hug. And I think that also matters.
Yeah.
And now, for example, 3 weeks ago, I got flowers from him we didn't have any anniversary or anything. I just got flowers. I got the note saying the most amazing wife ever. But again, it's like now it's not the time because I was asking for it, but like long time ago, I kept asking for these things instead of, doing something myself. Or for example, now he likes if sometimes I make some cake or something.
Yeah. The other practical thing which we have, which might be maybe a bit more philosophical or deeper, but I'm just going to share it anyway.
Yes, I like it.
When you think of marriage and you think of, okay, what's keeping it there? What we realized and what we learned, obviously through self-improvement, is that it comes back to one thing, which is agreement. Like if you think about it, the whole marriage really is just an agreement, an agreement that you're going to spend your life together. But there's also smaller agreements along the way, bigger and smaller agreements. And one of the things that happens when you break an agreement is that you start to be a little bit critical of the other person because you broke an agreement. Or let's say if I break an agreement, and you don't necessarily have to think of big things, could be like smaller. Let's say if my job is to bring down the trash every day, And let's say I don't do it for 3 days and it's kind of piling up. And then maybe I start to be a little bit critical of Lily. Then instantly I know, even though it seems that I have a problem with her, the first thing I need to do is, okay, what did I do? Or what didn't I do that I supposed to do? And usually when you find out that, okay, there is some kind of agreement that I broke, and once I fix that or I address that, that criticism goes away and the love comes back. And that's why I'm saying it's a bit deeper, but this is what I was referring to, that that's why love happens because of you. Because if you do things or you don't do things, then the love kind of fades away, even on a smaller level. I'm not saying that you would break up because you don't bring down the trash, but what you feel is kind of like maybe you don't feel like that much love, or maybe you kind of want to avoid your partner a little bit, or maybe, as I said, you start to be a little bit critical, a little bit snappy or picking on things. And that should be the first sign. And that, for us, that's always the first sign of, okay, what's going on here? And that's when we sit down and go, okay, is there something going on? Is there anything? And again, this is a daily thing, and this takes practice. It's you have to put your attention on this, and sometimes it's very uncomfortable, because it's like maybe you just super stressed, and the last thing you want is talk about things. But that's when you have to talk about things.
Right. So, why do you think, from like a psychological point of view, this is what happens?
Well, obviously it has a deeper meaning and deeper reason for that, but it kind of works with any areas of life. When you are critical of something, and you can observe this with people. And when I say when critical, when they are very negative about something, or they have a very bad opinion about something, usually it's something that they did, not the other person. I just want to say this. For me, this was a very, very difficult thing to understand. And for so long, I just didn't agree with this. And I know there are a lot of people, probably your listeners, who this wouldn't be kind of real, or they wouldn't find this true. But for us, it's definitely true, and it works. I don't know if I'm explaining this right.
No, you're doing really
I think
good.
Sorry?
You're doing really good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's a very complicated concept. So
I think one of the maybe that could be real to people, because this thing at the psychological level, it works in a way. One easy example would be, let's say I was supposed to reply to an email or a text message, and maybe everybody would be able to spot that. But let's say I was supposed to reply to an email or text message, not from him, like from somebody. And then I'm not replying. And I know I have to, but I'm not replying. And days go by. And then at some point I realize that I'm not the same. My thoughts or feelings towards that person are not the same. It feels like I don't like him or her that much, or I see whatever, if it was a job-related thing, maybe I see the mistakes that he or she is doing more. And this is what Viktor tried to explain, that I'm kind of becoming a little bit more critical, not in a big way, not going there and criticizing the person, but there is
maybe finding faults, or picking on things.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not a huge thing, and that's why it's not easy to spot. And then, like, the whole thing started with me not replying to that email or text message, even though I know I was supposed to, and I'm planning to do it. And interestingly, once I do that, once I reply to that, then my whole, positive feeling towards that person would just come back instantly. So this is what Viktor, like, maybe that's still too deep. I don't know. I was just trying to give an example, which I think many people could relate to, that it's just like, and if there is a person who, let's say I was supposed to reply and I haven't replied like for months, then maybe that's the person who at some point I will just stop having connection with. And maybe I'm not even going to say nice things about her or him. But the whole thing, if I look back to started, actually I was supposed, she was waiting for a reply from me and I didn't. And it wasn't that important. So I just dropped the whole thing. But, something just enters the universe at that point.
Yeah, obviously these are,
Tiny
you could say these are so trivial things, but obviously you can think of the extreme side of this. In a relationship, the most obvious would be cheating,
or just flirting with someone,
or even flirting, because many breakups could bring back to this point, and not necessarily cheating, but something the other person did. So let's say something I do, which I shouldn't have done. And this thing, it's not an immediate thing. What usually happens is that over time, I start to be more and more critical, finding faults, and you ask, why do I think this happens? What I observed is because when we know we did something wrong, we want to make it right. And how do we make it right? By undermining the other person. Because then it's kind of, we justify that, she's not that good anyway, so she kind of deserved it.
But we don't do this consciously.
But it's not a conscious thing. It's a totally subconscious thing.
Yeah.
That she's not as good anyway. So, it's okay that I did that. That's what's going on in a deeper level. And I know it's deep. It is deep. But once you kind of do it consciously, and then you observe it on yourself over time, it is a game changer. It is an absolute game changer. And not just in relationships, not just in marriages, but with any relationships, with your friends, with your family. So definitely
I think
something.
you have to take this, think about it, observe it, see how it's happening in your own personal life and other people's. See if you could sometimes not for judging, but for understanding, oh, that's why this person is behaving that way. And it makes it easier for us to think about it on ourselves and really just process this deep concept and see how it actually applies in real life.
Yeah. And if you have listeners who are business owners, probably for them, it would be, they can think of times when they are being criticized, and it does happen from time to time without you even have a relationship with the other person. So that's when that's nothing personal. That's not something I did as a business owner, yet I'm being criticized by a person who never done my service, never, didn't have anything to do with me. So that's when you can also observe it, that, and many business owners would, at that point, would kind of go, okay, what did I do? Oh my God. Oh, Jesus Christ. And it's nothing about what you did. It's what the other person did or could have done or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I like this.
Yeah,
I like this
I know it's a lot.
Very much. So where could Life Fixers connect with you and learn more about you?
So they can go to danceandhealth.com. And that's pretty much our business page. So this is more about, obviously, the dance and fitness. But we do have challenges when we combine dance fitness with some of these mental exercises, if you like, because we do have a passion in that area, because we do believe in order to take care of your body, you have to take care of yourself as well. And when I say yourself, I don't mean the body. So there's a lot more to health than just body related. So
yeah, and people love these challenges, and they love these little, we call them mental exercises as well. Like what I just told you about replying messages and emails.
Yeah,
that is part of one of our challenges. Of course, they have to do the classes. That's the physical part. It's the physical exercise part. And then one day the part of the challenge was to go through your phone and through your emails and see if you need to call someone back or reply to a text message, and just do that. And, because sometimes people, when they feel they're not motivated, sometimes it also comes back to these things that are piling up, those little things that are unfinished, unreplied, and they are piling up. And this is what we try to, as Viktor said, is mental health and physical health, you can't just take them
separately.
apart. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, final question. How would you describe an extraordinary relationship without using love, trust, and communication?
Love, trust, and communication.
Without using.
I would come back to what I said. It's you are in agreement. And not just on one thing, you are in full agreement.
And constantly creating everything that surrounds you and your relationship. Can we say relationship?
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
So it's an action. Like we have to always focus on the action and creating, and not just sitting back and waiting for things to happen.
Well, thank you so much, Lily and Viktor. This was so much fun and so interesting. I really appreciate you taking the time here to be here with us.
Thank you for your
so
time.
much.
That's all for this episode of the Life Fix University podcast, but I have a huge favor to ask of you that will not only support the show, but will also help the people you love most. We are striving for 1 million downloads by the end of 2025, and we can't do this without your help. If you love this episode, please share it with 2 of your family and friends so they too can rewire their brains to have an extraordinary marriage. It was awesome spending time with you, and I'll see you on the next episode.